Good morning, my loves. Hello, hello, hello. Happy New Year. Deanna here. So much love to you. I trust that you were able to find some solace, get some rest, a little bit of reconciliation, a bit of reset, and again, reconcile some of the events from last year for your own health and well-being and in harmony and in balance. As I promised you, I took a couple of weeks off and didn't do any videos. I did that on purpose. I really needed to recalibrate really myself and reconcile some of my own personal stuff from last year, my own journey. Of course, you must know that teaching or is just preaching, and it's bullshit, to be honest, if it's just blah 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 but we don't do as we say. So I always make sure that I practice what I preach, really. So I took some time off for myself and recalibrated, rested a little bit, had some time with my son, with my family, enjoyed my time off, and here we are, fresh and ready to go for this year. So as I mentioned, you may have seen the trailer that I posted a couple of days ago. We are going to continue the Mentoring for Awakening series, and today I'm going to talk to you about the Sacral Chakra. But I'm going to talk to you, as I did with the base chakra, I'm going to talk to you about the purpose and the evolution of the Sacral Chakra. Because just like we are evolving, just like Gaia is evolving, as we are evolving individually, we are evolving collectively. Part of our evolution, of course, has to do with our energy body. So this is our energy centers. The main chakras is what I'm really talking about. There are very many, and there's, you know, all sorts of different energetic points, meridians. Oh, my ear has just gone off the charts. There must be a spike in Schumann resonance. This has been happening a lot as these big waves of energy are coming in and coming through. As we are transitioning more and more into this age of Aquarius, but I digress. The other thing that I also wanted to say to you is that in my base chakra video, I wore red, which is the color of the base chakra. It would make sense that today I would wear orange, which is the color of the sacral chakra. However, you will have to forgive me, I'm not wearing orange, and part of the reason why I'm not wearing orange is actually personal. Archangel Raphael is working with my third eye at the moment, and I'm really needing to wear green, as close to emerald green as possible. So I'm really supporting myself with this upgrade that's going on within my emotional body. It is the emotional body, which is of course the lymphatic system in the physical body, that gets upgraded, including the pineal and the pituitary glands when there is a upgrade or a recalibration of some sort, or a shift forward or something, you know, like that sort of stuff. So speaking of the emotional body, and speaking of the correlation between the sacral chakra and the emotional body, the sacral chakra is well, it's often referred to as the sex chakra. But when I say the sex chakra, what I don't mean the act of sex only. That is one expression of the sacral chakra. However, the sacral chakra really is has a much deeper purpose than that. So the sacral chakra is orange in color. It's located in the lower abdomen, meaning beneath your or below your belly button. It's sort of where the ovaries are and the testes. They're actually, those organs are actually ruled by the sacral chakra. And the sacral chakra really starts to sort of come in to physical alignment and function, operate between the ages of about 6 months to 2 years. And if you've had children, you will know that it's around that time that kids begin to discover, you know, their little parts, the little bits and pieces, and boys in particular love to walk around naked, you know, dangling the little bits. They're so cute. If you've had a boy, you know, you probably know what I'm talking about. I have one. Anyway. Okay. So I want to talk to you now, like with the base chakra, the sacral chakra also holds within it a balanced expression, and then an expression of the sacral chakra that it's unbalanced, that's wounded, that holds lessons and karmic energy about it. And there's archetypes that these two polarities represent. So from the perspective of say the positive, high vibrational, balanced archetype, the sacral chakra holds the energy of the Empress. So this means that feminine energy is primarily represented by the sacral chakra, right? The Empress archetype is about being able to stand firmly in the world as an empowered energy, a person that is really proud of their achievements. They can take and receive the accolades and celebrate their achievements and their own fulfillment. Now, on the other hand, the unbalanced, the unhealthy aspect of the sacral chakra is that of the martyr, the person that uses the act of, oh my God, I'm getting so many emails, the behavior that requires self-sacrifice in order to win love back or in return. So the martyr, of course, by default, does not feel entitled to personal happiness and is unable to change their life patterns, or finds it increasingly difficult to change life patterns from that of the martyr to a higher, more empowered focus on own self, health and well-being, including love. So there is a whole heap of this self-sacrificing energy. Now, this self-sacrificing martyr is within the old paradigm very much obvious, I guess, or presented and expressed as through the feminine energy in the form of, say, mother and wife. So we buy into the whole program around, you know, finding a life partner, getting married, and then self-sacrificing and losing your identity, any ideas of who you are at the are sacrificed at the expense of what's perceived to be a more important thing, such as the marriage or you know, anything like that. So own needs, own ideas, expressions of self are completely sacrificed for something outside of self. Yeah. This is also very much obvious within the masculine energy or the masculine behavior, where the men often sacrifice their own sense of self in order to fulfill those roles of provider in particular. And so any need for self is then sacrificed. Here's the thing though, that these martyr or martyrdom ideas of self-sacrifice are not effective, because ultimately what's happened historically and what we've witnessed is that the percentage, because we are talking about intimacy, we are talking about relationships to oneself, and then also to another, in this physical realm. Many relationships, I mean, the divorce rate has gone through the roof, relationships are falling apart, everyone's rooting everybody else, and everyone's cheating on everybody else. There are so many, I mean, this world is really rife with third-party situations. There are many websites that actually actively support this kind of behavior. And what this does, it's not I'm not judging this, I'm just talking from an energetic perspective. What that means is that there's a real unbalanced and unclear boundaries around how energy within a person is enmeshed and codependent with others. Because where one person is pretending to have freedom, they are really entrenched in this self-sacrificing behavior on the other with somebody. Yeah. So these two archetypes we know to be very true and playing out so very much in society right now. So it's not until we until we can do that work on ourselves and go within, that we begin to understand the disharmony and unbalance that's going on in that way within ourselves, and so therefore we project that outwards. Okay, now let's talk about the ego and the divine nature of the sacral chakra. Okay, I have, of course, some notes here, which I always do on everything that I do. So let me read to you some notes I have with regards to, so we started with the divine expression, archetypal expression. So let's go to the divine traits embodied within the physical self. So when a sacral chakra is healthy and it's balanced, we find ourselves to be resourceful, creative, and capable to find, to see, to access prosperity and abundance in life in every way. Wherever we look, we see wonderful abundance, nature expressing itself in the most incredible way. We feel more in the flow. We see how everything within us and around us is designed to support us, and it's loving, as opposed to us being at, or feeling even, that we either need to sacrifice anything because we are not deserving of this extraordinary magnificence, or that we are somehow victims, and which is, remember, base chakra stuff. We are victims of the life around us, and somehow we are stuck and someone's out to get us, right? So that's that survival instinct of the victim, which is the base chakra. Here, it's that feeling that you're not deserving of this extraordinary magnificence, within yourself. You can't tap into that field of prosperity and abundance and really lift yourself up into this magnificent way of being, right? Which just reinforces the deepest gratitude in your soul, from the core of your highest, most beautiful self, right? Another trait of the sacral chakra, a divine trait that expresses itself in the physical, is that there's a balance between being able to use mind, rationale, and logic with the feelings, with emotions, right? Again, feeling loved, knowing that there's more than enough out there for everybody to really prosper and step into their highest version. Otherwise, they wouldn't even be reincarnated. They wouldn't have a soul purpose. Everybody, there's a point and a purpose for everybody on this planet, right? They are gracious. Also, a behavior of the balanced, oh my goodness me, the behavior of the balanced sacral chakra is that being able to receive all of this extraordinary nurture and gifts and prosperity and abundance, yeah, with that grace, with the love, with the deepest gratitude, as opposed to some feeling of guilt and shame and I'm not worthy, right? So that's the difference. Hence the Empress archetype, right? If you have a look in the tarot, I want to show you something. I was seeing these images this morning as I was preparing to talk to you about this, and I find it really extraordinary how the tarot so beautifully describes this journey of arriving into the highest expression of the feminine energy of the Empress, right? So in the physical, right, there's the Nine of Pentacles, right? So this card is almost like sorry, just bear with me a second. Okay, so this card is almost like depicting, right, that beautiful journey of when we go from we are not worthy in the physical, of course, the Pentacles in the tarot, into this beautiful sense of self-love. I can rely on myself. I can create my own abundance, and I will prosper, and I have the wisdom of the falcon, and I am beautiful and ready to receive and really appreciate all of this abundance around me, right? Self-love, the Empress journey, right? So this self-love coming into yourself in the physical feels like sort of the first step. And then there's the Empress card. It's when we finally sit on our own throne, right? You graduate into this beautiful feminine energy that is essentially the cross between the High Priestess, right? The divine aspect of the feminine energy, and the physical aspect of the feminine energy, that being able to provide for oneself, the abundance, the knowing that you're supported, etc., right? That. So I just wanted to show that to you. I hope that makes sense. Now, on the other hand, right, the ego aspect, the wounded, in disharmony and dis-ease aspect of the sacral chakra is one where a person will react with fear, lets energy slip away by always seeking approval and helping others. See, this is that self-sacrifice aspect of the sacral chakra, the unhealthy, unbalanced way of being, where a person is always trying to make the others life easier at the expense of their own, right? I know this one really well. I did it for a very long time, and it actually was really hard to break, because the default is always the other as opposed to self. Yeah. Another ego trait is that there's usually a struggle to have enough energy or money, or energy to make money, or the focus is so much on making money that there is no energy for anything else. Yeah. Also sacrifices self in order to win love, because it's, you know, that competition. But the problem with this is that the martyr will actually expect sacrifice in return. And this is a problem. This is, of course, a problem, because they will attract into the world those that take without wanting to give much, you see. So this can often be the empath narcissist kind of dynamic. Yeah? You understand what I'm saying? Overly emotional, guilt tripping, obviously in order to that expectation of sacrifice in return often includes or involves the kind of behavior that is emotional guilt tripping, right? So manipulating by emotionally guilt tripping, that happens a lot. Invariably, without a doubt, will always, without exception, end up in deeply rooted, codependent, unhealthy relationships, without a doubt. Pessimistic, passive-aggressive, self-destructive, of course, because it's, you know, the primary modus operandi, or, you know, the primary unconscious function or drive is always to sacrifice yourself. So there is an automatic self-sabotage program that happens. Very low self-esteem. Can also use health as a means, or dis-ease as a means to get attention and sympathy. Really low vibrational. Yeah, definitely very unhealthy, very dis-eased, disharmony, all of that sort of stuff. Really requires a deep dive into self, and the goal, the journey will be inevitably about self-love and self-respect. It has to be, because without graduating that particular lesson, there is no moving forward, unfortunately. I also know this as well for myself. Massive, big lesson. And the other thing is also that the other thing is also that I actually came in with, from another lifetime, I brought in a really massive lesson around losing a child at birth, which then, in order to close that karmic cycle, then played out through me manifesting or having endometriosis in this life, right? Some of you might know what that is, but endometriosis essentially means that it feels like, you know, the monthly cycle is always very heavy. It's like miscarrying every single month. It's ridiculously painful. It's really full on. Like, it's a really full on thing, and it can, yeah, at times can be completely demoralizing. And anyway, brought all of this in with me through a past life situation to clear. So I've had a lot of lessons around this, and I really understand this archetype. Although many people say that the martyr archetype is very difficult to shift, almost impossible, a little bit like the victim, although the victim is even lower vibrational, or from a vibrational perspective, energetic perspective. I'm here to tell you, living, breathing, talking person, that it definitely can be done. I'm not saying it's easy, but it can be done, and the trick absolutely is about not getting selfish, not becoming an egomaniac, but going within and understanding the energy and the importance of self-love, so that there can be not just an energetic harmony and balance, but the journey of the sacral chakra, right, will propel you into a kind of graduation, a maturing of the mental body, as in the way thoughts are processed, and also the way emotions in particularly are processed. And it's really actually important that we consciously take the journey of maturing our emotional body, so that we can have emotional intelligence. Because and I'm speaking to you about this from you know, being trained as a psychologist and a counselor, so I understand the necessity around this. And from my own personal observation, there are really very, very few, even spiritual teachers, that understand and actually actively apply emotional intelligence in their practice. And some of them are seriously like best-selling authors and all of that sort of stuff, and have no idea about embodied emotional intelligence. So I'm just going to leave it there. That's just a personal observation. Okay, what's next? The purpose of the sacral chakra, in terms of evolution, it's very simple. The sacral chakra has been like the seat and the seed of, oh my goodness, seriously, the seat, the central focal point of the awakening of the divine feminine energy, period. Right? It is here in this center that the feminine energy began to wake up. Exactly what I've now been telling you, right? And when I say feminine energy, I'm not talking about just women. I'm talking about the feminine energy within everybody, because even every single man on this planet needs to understand the function of the Empress. A function of the Empress is that being able to look around, being able to know that the world that you live in, that your life is here to support you, it's here for you to learn, and you have the capacity to receive all this goddamn goodness, all this beautiful stuff that is here to support you, So this is not just a woman thing, but it is about the feminine energy, because the nature of the feminine energy is to receive. Feminine energy is receptive. Right? Am I connecting some dots? Okay. So I also want to make one more point with regards to this. As the feminine energy was ascending through the chakras and waking up all the different aspects of the feminine energy to be healed, to be cleared, to be let go, the dismantling of the old paradigm programs that have to do with the expression of the feminine energy. Once the heights of that journey were reached, that was only 50% of the journey. Well, actually not even. That was just chapter 1 of the journey. Chapter 2 of the journey is then to reach the high priestess energy, the archetype, that divine wisdom, and then to bring it down. Bring it down now through the Empress, down into the physical, right? So that this woman, this man with the feminine energy, can now actively participate in the physical with this wisdom, right? So it wasn't only the ascension, it's also the descend of the divine and anchor into the physical, right? Now, here's the thing, that the anchor into the physical is done through the base chakra. If your base chakra is out of balance and harmony, and you're still struggling to feel safe in the world because at every turn your survival fear instinct is being triggered, you are not anchoring jack shit. Which means that you can't embody the Empress or the Goddess energy. It doesn't matter how many Kundalini dances you go to. It doesn't matter how many times you chant Kumbaya. You actually have to actively participate and learn this stuff. Understand it. Be in harmony with it. Because when that Kundalini energy that's been activated, and I'm getting there in a minute, which is kind of the evolution, or the evolutionary step, the Kundalini energy, right, that's been ignited, that then begins to rise, right, through all your centers and just activates and just destroys and burns anything that's not of the highest alignment with your soul purpose, right? As it begins to snake up, and it hits that field of the goddess, the mother god, the divine feminine, and then there's a part of me, part of you, then goes, hang on a minute, I remember this. This is where I come from. This shit is really cool. Let me bring it down now into the physical and anchor it. And then you get to the base chakra, right? And that high vibe energy will shake the shit out of the base chakra if that base chakra is not in alignment and in harmony. Lose your job, lose your partner, lose all of the 3D illusions. Chop, 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 done. Anything that's not in alignment, anywhere where you are living the illusion or the 3D outdated programming will just simply fall apart and go. Really painful. That's the Tao moment, right? Now, from the perspective of, actually, before I move on to the evolution, because activation of the Kundalini energy is like massive, but there is more to this. Let me just tell you some of the physical symptoms that might, that can represent, I don't even know what that word is, represent the sacral chakra, physical signs of imbalance, yeah? So middle ear infections, make sense. Imbalance, out of balance, can't stand on my own 2 feet. Middle ear, gone, yeah? Lower back, that would be the back end of the chakra, yeah? The lower back. Ruptured or slipped discs, female disorders, cramps. Hello, I just described them to you. I had them for the longest time, still sometimes, although a lot of it is cleared. What's it called? IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. It's when, you know, we hang on to energy and it gets stuck in our bowels and we find it really difficult to let go. What else? Diabetes, pancreatitis, ovarian cysts and ovarian cancer, impotence, prostate disorders, urinary tract infections, kidney disorders, manic depression, hormonal imbalances, of course, and yeah, tendency towards alcohol and drug abuse, of course, is the same as the victim. It's that not being able to deal with the reality, and so shutting down or self-medicating in that way. Like I did with the base chakra, I'm actually going to take a photo of this so you can have it as a reference. Feel free to, you know, copy it, write it down, add to it, subtract, whatever you need. Okay, 2 more things. The first one, the evolution. So one of the ways, because sacral chakra is also, of course, about procreation and about, you know, then reincarnation and souls coming into the world in order to shift the old established energies, right? Sacred sexuality plays a massive part in terms of the evolutionary process of the species, yeah? And so the sacral chakra again has been home to a number of different lessons, of course, and ways in which you know, we were propelled to evolve, to ascend, but that twin flame, twin soul phenomenon also has a lot to do with this, because for I want to say, for a large degree, not all of it, but for a large degree, part of the twin flame mission has been to bring light to sacred sexuality, to sacred intimacy, because of the way the soul structure or the templates are designed, that when the 2 aspects or polarities of the twin, the soul, come together through, and they connect through intimacy and the sacral chakra, there is an explosion, or like an expression of the Kundalini energy that not only unites and cleaves and burns away the old, and that helps the twins shift to the next gear. It's like the key turns, another tooth and another one and another one and another one, yeah? But also the ripple effect of that energetically, and in terms of the brightness of the light, it's a little bit like a nuclear explosion, yeah? But also the sacral chakra, right, then releases, yeah, a little bit like, if you will, sperm. It releases this really fertile energy or codes of light that then are accessed unconsciously, of course, and energetically by the collective, yeah? So sacred intimacy has such a really important part to play in terms of the evolutionary trajectory of what's going on. And so part of the reason, again, while we are having this whole thing around, you know, let me just say sex addiction, yeah, and porn and all of that sort of stuff, is because they are, it's pent up energy that needs to come out in some way, but it comes out in an unhealthy, unbalanced way, because the divine aspect, the sacred aspect of the Kundalini energy and the sacral chakra waking up has not been integrated. This is such a big story. I could really talk about it forever, but I'm just going to leave it there just to kind of, I guess, plant a seed and get you to think about sacred sexuality in a healthier way, as an expression of that divine nature, as opposed to as a, excuse my language, but as sex or as a fuck, simply. Yeah. Now, what do I want to say? Okay, so the next thing is some of the things that, and I can again take a picture of this, or I can just type it out for you. There are some questions that you can ask yourself in order to determine where your sacral chakra is at, other than going to see either a holistic therapist or, you know, an energetic therapist, someone that can sense or talk to you about the energy in your sacral chakra. So question 1, do you feel you have the right to enjoy yourself and have pleasure? Are your pleasures physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual in nature, right? It helps if you have the integrity to at least be honest with yourself, because then that integrity is what's going to give you the right barometer as to where you're at with this sort of stuff. Question 2, what sacrifices do you make to suit others? Question 3, is it better to give than to receive? If you choose giving over receiving, do you feel you deny others the joy of giving? Question 4, do you believe that for your desires to be met, you first have to make a sacrifice? Think about this one. How would you describe abundance? Is it dependent upon having a lot of material things? So when you really ask yourself these questions and you work with them, you will get a pretty good barometer of where you're at, or a pretty good kind of way of becoming familiar with where you might be at in terms of sacral chakra themes, yeah? And then, of course, you can take the right and appropriate actions to, or make the right inquiries in order to find a way to deal with, you know, these issues, if any at all, right? Only you know yourself. Of course, I'm here for you. I can help you. Either, Spirit is just reminding me to tell you, either in the form of mentoring, in terms specifically geared towards your spiritual awakening, or in terms of holistic counseling, which is more I guess, therapy style journey. Now, speaking of journeys and help, I had mentioned twin flames before. Now, I have just added a new service to my website. It is specifically geared towards twin flames or twin souls, however you describe it. And they're 30-minute talk to me sessions. Now, I want to say to you, the first thing that I want to say about that is I've structured them at 30 minutes or 30-minute time slots, and they're $55 Australian for those 30 minutes. Sometimes there is so much information out there already, but sometimes twins don't necessarily want to do counseling or mentoring. They've already done a lot of their inner search. They just need someone to talk to, maybe get some validation, right? Specifically just for their own journey. That's what the sessions are structured for. They're there if you need it. I'm available. I get asked questions about this all the time. I'm in my own journey. As you know, if you're in the community, you would have heard me talk about this before. But the other thing that I also want to say, I just want to acknowledge that the inspiration for these sessions actually comes from another twin flame, a friend of mine, Sylvia, from from the Enchanted World of Twin Flames. She was my inspiration for these sessions, as she offers them herself. I think that they're a magnificent idea, fantastically set up by her. So I asked her permission to actually offer those sessions for my clients as well. So I just wanted to note that. I wanted to let you know that she's my inspiration for this. I think it's a brilliant idea. So I've got the okay from her to basically copy and paste her beautiful creation. Not in competition with her, but as a compliment to the collective that might be struggling with this, especially for those that are new to the journey and that are waking up. Okay. Whew, that was a big one, my loves. I hope you're well. I'm here for you. Please like, share, comment. I would love to hear any information about your own journey around this. And I will be seeing you soon, because I've been guided to talk a little bit more about the correlation or the connection between spiritual awakening and the awakening of the emotional body, because I think collectively this is where we're at the moment, or many are here at the moment. So I will either do this tomorrow or Friday. I'm not sure which. I'll let you know. I'll see how I go with my clients. Okay, much love to you. Mwah.